Okay, so today is Be'etzem Chulin Daf Samach Vov, but we are starting Daf Samach Hey Amid Aleph, close to the top. We're going to try to get to Samach Vov Amid Beis Be'ez Hashem. We're holding by the Avol Amru Chachamim. Yeah, we spoke about Beitzas Treifa. There's really a lot to be marich about that, but we didn't. And the Basayana, there's a lot to be marich on, but we can't get everything. Avol Amru Chacham Kol Oif. So the Gemara over here is going to introduce another two simanim of treifa of oifes to another two shitas, and it's a shaila if these are simone tairo as well or simone tuma machlikas rishonim. So the Gemara Tanya Rugamli Aloyme Doris Voichel Biyadua Shehu Tame. Yeshli, this is mamish like our Mishnah. Yeshli Yetzbagi Yisera V'Zafiku V'Kukovani Niklaf Biyadua Shehu Tar. And Kiyadua Reb Chaim is machalik in between the simanim of Drisa and the other three simanim because of the lashon of Reb Gamliel that he's a Doris Voichel Biyadua Shehu Tame, and the other three Biyadua Shehu Tar he says in Lom this is a chelik, but we're not going to go into it. Reb Lezer,
black and white.
yeah, not so black and white because the pshat is because soif kol soif. One is the kashrus is the header. The kashrus is the header, the lack of a doiris, and the other ones are you do have a HB say you do have a zefek and you do have a kurkavana. It's a positive and negative. Okay, you spread out a machlikus if you means a string or it means a branch. Im cholikes raglov shtayim lekan v'shtayim lekan tomei sholish lekan v'achas lekan tor. If it does 2 and 2, so then it's tomei. If it does 3 and 1, it is tor. So over here, there's a lot of there's two machlekes. And first of all, it's a machlekes rishonim. Let's say it does sholish lekan and nachas lekan, is it tor? Or the pshat is no. The pshat is shtayim lekan and shtayim lekan is tomei. But if you sholish lekan and nachas lekan, you still could be tomei. That's question number one. Question number two is this a new siman or is this just a shaila if he's a doris or not? Okay, we're not gonna go into it. That's the shaila, right? The famous shaila where this was negeh because it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. The famous shaila where it was negeh is by the leghorn chicken. The leghorn chicken is a chicken. We all get our chickens are leghorns, and the layers are leghorns, and the leghorn chicken that we get it from famously, if you put it on the branch it could grab by 2, and then afterwards it what's called, and then afterwards it once it settles itself it does 3 and 1. So there were those that wanted to be choishish over there that this is a problem of it's cholik es raglo, but that was only but it wasn't like a parakeet that only does 2 and 2, and all other right a regular doris does mamish only 2 and 2. Okay, so more right Reb Shimon Lazoi if it grabs from the air, grabs like if you throw something up to a seagull, it'll catch it in its ear. It's unbelievable. It's taka mamish unbelievable. It catches it in the air. Frek the Gemara Kasha Ait Spirta Nami Miklat Kolta, and there are those that say that the Spirta is the hummingbird, and it was known that it was kasha. Yeah, Spirta Nami Miklat Kolta Amar Abaya Koilet V'Oichel Karminon. This siman of Tuma is if it's Koilet V'Oichel, meaning it grabs in its mouth and it swallows it as is, but it doesn't never puts it down on the ground. If it lives amongst Tameim, it's Tamei. If it lives with Tairim, it's Tar. This is Dafka going to Blazer. The time of Blazer, I'm below the Chinam Holach Zarzir Ella Oirev Ella Neshu Minoi. So it's Vice Blazer is the one that holds that you need that Shachain Im Tameim is a Siman Toma. If it's shachin and it's nidma, it's machlokes. Rashi says nidma means it looks like it. It's mamish similar in marisoi. Other Rishonim means nidma means it has the same simanim. Then it would be a siman of toma.
If the siman is a siba, then
we're going to get to siman and siba is mamish is today's.
The siba you don't have the siba. Even if it looks like it, but you don't have the siba.
I hear. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. I just want to say, just to point out that the Rambam is a difficult Rambam, because the Rambam paskins does not paskin like Rebbe Lezer, but he still says that the Zarzir is puzzle, and that's a big problem. That's the big plunt over here in the Rambam. Okay, so let's start the sugya of Chagavim. So there's two major hagdamis in the sugya of Chagavim. Okay, so here's a picture of Chagavim. So here we have to discuss two major issues here. First of all, we're going to discuss the Mishnah. The Mishnah gives us four simonim. Four simonim of a Chagav. What are the four simonim of a Chagav? First of all, it's Yeshloi Arba Raglayim, right? Arba Raglayim has only 4 feet. Arba Knafayim has 2 Knafayim that are the ones that it flies with. Those are the small, thin ones, very, very thin. And then it has, on top of that, another 2 Knafayim that protect them. That's the Arba Knafayim. So you have the Arba Raglayim, Arba Knafayim, the Karayim. The Karayim are these big legs, the jumping legs, the fascinating legs. There's a tremendous amount of research on how it works. It pushes its foot down, and then it has with a spring, it makes it go mamish like not shaykh. When it pushes down. What ends up happening is that in its joint over here, in its, well, I guess we'll say its knee, it becomes like a spring. It pushes down, and then that, when it releases, that gives it a moridiga, propels it to go weiter. That's the arba the krayim, and knaf rasa arba raglayim and krayim and knaf of chayfon esrubay. Right? That means that the Gemara is going to say exactly how it has to be. That when the knafayim are down, they cover over the body. Knaf of chayfon esrubay. Oh, smachted. Yeah. Here you have Knaf Chayfim Esrubay. Yeah. Now, besides those four simonim, that state in the Mishnah, there are another 2 simonim. There's a siman called Roishay Aruch, meaning that it doesn't have a small head; it has a long head. And there's another siman called Yeshlei Gabachas. Now, what does Gabachas mean? Gabachas, Rashi seems to say that Gabachas means it's like a bald head, right? Which means that the other ones are hairy. But it's a big doichid, the big problem, because the Lamaisa, we know that the ones, at least the ones that had a Mesorah, do not have, aren't hairy. So, and the Gemara says, Ein le Gabachas, meaning it's not bald, meaning it has hair. And Lamaisa, the ones that had the Kabbalah, that's the Arba, it doesn't have here, which is a shtal. Okay, but anyway, so the other pshat in Yesh Gabachas is that it has a hump, like a ham, has like a hump in the back, and that would be the Yesh Gabachas, the other shita. Fine, so we have 6 simonim here. We have the Arba Raglayim, Arba Knafayim, the Karsulayim, and the Knaf of Chayfim Esrubay. Agavorcha, the Rambam holds that there's a dik in the Rambam that Knaf Chayfim Esrubay is not a 4th siman; it's only a 3rd siman. It's a taich in the Knaf of Chayfim Esrubay. Okay, but and then you have the other 2 simanim, which is not the Mishnah. The Tana doesn't bring it down. The Tana brings down Rosh Aruch. Besides those other 2, there's another 2, which is Rabbi Yossi says Shmoi Chagov, and there's going to be another one of Rosh Aruch. Now, the Gemara is going to bring down 2 shitas. The Gemara is going to bring down the Tana Debei Rav and the Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. Again, it's the cheshbon and droshes exactly, right? Now, it comes out like these droshes. That the the Tana again. The way our Mishnahs are gestellt, that there's 4 simonim, and then Rabbi Yossi adds Ushmoi Chagov.
What's the Shmoi Chagov? That's a sin.
That its name is it's known. Yeah, it's called the Chagov.
Its name itself is Kaveh.
Yeah. And we're going to see a cricket has the 4 simonim, but it's not Shmoi Chagov, and that's why you can't eat it. Klar, beforish, mamish. That's the problem. A tiratur is a cricket. What the name? Shmoi Chagov is another simon. Yes. Yeah, klar. So it comes out like this. So right, the way and the Gemara is going to tell back The Gemara is going to tell that there's a Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel and a Tana Debei Rav. The Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel holds. So that again, klar. So the way the Gemara is going to tell a vector is a machlekes the Tana Debei Rav, which is the Teres Kohanim, and the Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana Debei Rav holds that Rosh Aruch is not good. And Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel is going to hold that Rosh Aruch is good. We're going to be marbe Rosh Aruch, but we're going to be mamayit Shmoy Chagov. Yeah?
I mean, it's not a kibbeh, Shmoy Chagov.
That means so both hold that you need 5 simonim. You need 5 simonim. You need 5 simonim to be kosher. Like the Tana Debei Rav, it doesn't have to be Shmoy Chagov. But if it's Rosh Aruch, it's not good. Right? If it has the long head, it's not good. So here this is a Rosh Aruch. You see? These are Rosh Aruchs, okay? So these are going to be a machlokes of the Tana Debei Rav and the Tana Debei Shmuel. Like the Tana Debei Rav, we can't be marba or Rosh Aruch. Like the Tana Debei Shmuel, we're going to see that there's going to be extra pasuk, and we're going to say Inyan to the ones that psukim to the minim that it says in our Mishnah, we're going to be marba Rosh Aruch like these. Okay, that's Rosh Aruch. Now the one that I told you that has a bump. A daveshes, right, has a bump. This is like the other, not like Rashi. Rashi says yesh le gabachas means that it has a bald spot. It's not clear exactly what we're talking about. What's this bald spot like Rashi? But the other Rishonim that say gabachas means a hump. Here you see this hump. Okay, agavocha. Okay, good, fine. Now, okay, so first of all we have a pshatov problem. The shaila is, who is our Tana of our Mishnah go? Like, the Tana of our Mishnah says 4 simonim only. It says, Arba Glayim, right? Arba Glayim, Arba Knafayim, Karsalayim, and Knaf V'chayf V'esruboy. It doesn't say Shmoy Chagov, and it doesn't say Rosh and Aruch. So who does the Tana of our Mishnah go? So Lamaisa, there is a machlokes Rishonim, there's 3 shitas, all 3 shitas. Tosfos goes that the pshat is that the Tana of our Mishnah is the Tana of Rabbi Shmuel, and the Tana of our Mishnah also holds you need Shmoy Chagov. And when Rabbi Yossi says Ushmoy Chagov, he's not arguing. Rabbi Yossi Ushmoy Chagov, he's a being marba, and that's the Tana of our Mishnah. It's not a machlokes. That's how Tosfos goes. Yeah, that's one mahalach. There's another mahalach which is the Ramban. The Ramban says that no, the Tana of our Mishnah is going like the Tana of the Rav. That Avada can't be Rosh Aruch. The Tana doesn't say it's not a doich. It's not shver if we didn't mention it. He's matchilek shaila. That's the Ramban's way. The third mahalach is the mahalach I think of the Rashba, if I'm not mistaken, that he says that there's a third shita. The Gemara brings down the Tana Debei Rav and Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana of our Mishnah has a third mahalach that you only need those 4 and you don't need both. You don't need both. You only need those 4. Yeah, those are the 3 sheets. So how do we pass? Right. Yeah. Okay, so how do we? Okay, that's the Lamaisa. That's okay. So the Mamish Machlokes Rishonim how we paskin on these 3 things. Okay. Lamaisa, most communities do not eat Chagavim today, and the reason why they don't eat Chagavim is not because it's machlekes. It's because of the Dor HaChaim. Dor HaChaim went fire against Chagavim. Why? He says like this: what are the Chagavim that everybody ate? What are the Chagavim that everybody ate? 1 second. Let me. Zok. These are the Chagavim that is Kabbalah to eat. These 2. I think it's called, one of them is called the Egyptian something. These two Chagavim are the ones that have a simon. Yeah, have a Kabbalah, right? The shaila is like this. The problem is the Archaim said that look in Rashi, we don't have a Chagav. I know Chagavim have what Rashi says. It's not a kasha. The Archaim says nobody has the why? Because it says, well, look where the Kara'ayim are. The Kara'ayim come after the feet, right? There's feet, 2 feet. Here's the neck. Remember, here's the neck. then comes one foot, then another foot, then comes the Krayim. Yeah? Same thing over here. Here's the neck. If you see, this is like mamish by the neck. And then here comes one, a nun, and then comes the Krayim. So Krayim are after the 2 feet. Or after all the feet. Now let's look inside Rashi, and you'll see it's mamish Rashi didn't like that. Rashi Saib in our Mishnah, and Rashi before Chumash. Here, 1 second, let me. Zoktar Chaim. Let's look at this lashon. Rashi says, Mimal Raglov. Yeah, you see it? Mimal Raglov. This is right. The pasuk says Yesh like Kra'ayim Mimal Raglov. Zok Rashi. Samuch Litzavari. Yesh Kimin Shnei Raglayim. Samuch Litzavari. Yesh Kimin Shnei Raglayim. Levad Abu Raglav Ksheroitz Lof Liquids from the Oretz Beschazik Boysen Shnei Krayim Uperech. Zok the Archaim, we're eating treifus, and we can't have it. And he wrote in his sefer, I think it's called Pritoya, in the sefer on Shulchan Aruch. He's Meirich on it, and then he writes it again in Archaim. He writes it again, I was Meirich, and this, and Zok the Archaim. And miyoim, that I feared that nobody should eat grasshoppers. From then on, there was never a problem. He says it used to be problems that the arbor would come and they would eat up the crops from every couple of years. From when I feared it, it stopped. So, this raya, the Eibishter sends could be the Eibishter sends the arbor that Yidden should eat. I mean, not the Eibishter sends it that they should eat. If the Yidden aren't eating it, so maybe you're not masking to that. Okay, but anyway, Azoi Zok Dorachayim. So what's the issue? What's the issue? So there's the kilos that we're eating it for years and years and years, and there are no chagavim. There is no such a thing as a chagav that's samach l'raglav. So you have to say Lo Dorachayim. You have to say. Now we know. I mean, maybe we don't know more chagavim than Dorachayim, but you have to say that the pshat is there used to be chagavim that was samach l'raglav, like Rashi says, v'yesh mehem harbe ka'oisam shekoirin. There's many of these. We have them all over. You have to say that used to be many of them, and now all of them were cleaned out, and now there's the new type, and those are all gone.
What's the question?
What's going on? What's with the samach l'tzavari? Yeah. So the Sefer Sichas Chulin wants to say like this. He wants to be miyash. The Sefer Sichas Chulin wants to go like this. That it's a very interesting makeup how a grasshopper is. It has a head, then it has a small body, then it has this big thing as a zonov, right? The whole thing. Samach l'tzavari just means over here in this part as opposed to here and here. Now, what's mimal raglov? Kipshutoi, Rashi is coming to taish the mimal raglov. That's what Rashi is coming to say. Someone is mimal raglov. That's what Reb Chaim Kanievsky's medayik. What's mimal? No, mimal raglov is something. Someone means on this piece. What does it mean, mimal raglov? Mimal raglov means because lemaisa this is not relative, not mimal raglov closer to the head. Mimal raglov means above the feet, relative to the floor. This is how the Sichas Chulin wants to be miyashiv, the minig for those kilos that still eat the grasshopper. Vaniyakot, now I want to say a different shot. Don't will indulge me, I want to say a different shot. Rashi's teaching, what's the word mimal l'raglov? What does mimal l'raglov mean? The pasuk says, mimal l'raglov. What does it mean, mimal l'raglov? So Rashi, Zok, like this. What's the taich mimal l'raglov? I want to say that Rashi's saying that v'kar sulayim mimal l'raglov is Rashi's means mimal l'raglov is not above the feet. Mimal l'raglov means on top of the feet. In other words, besides the feet. He has arba raglayim, and on top of that he has karsulayim.
It doesn't mean on top of.
It doesn't mean above. It means on top of. It means besides. It sounds like a deichik, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a major deichik, right? It sounds like a major deichik. What's it? How would Rashi say, if Rashi would say that mimal means besides? What would Rashi say? How would he write it? Would Rashi say like this? Samach l'tzavari yesh le'kemin shtei raglayim levad arba raglov. Rashi's teaching me mal raglu means besides the arba raglayim. We had a pasuk before that said that there's an arba or sheretz of arba raglayim. Zok Rashi and Rashi yesh loy. We had a pasuk that said a sheretz. We had the oifus that are you could eat, oifus you can't eat. Then we had a sheretz that has arba raglayim you can't eat, and then there's a thing that has a karsolayim mimal raglov asher. Those are the ones. So Rashi mimal raglov doesn't mean on top of it; it means besides the arba raglayim. Levad arba raglov. What is Rashi saying? So now, if it's levad arba raglav, he means that starting from the neck, you have the arba raglayim, and then comes the samach. This comes the things. It's starting from the neck, you have the arba raglayim and the karsalayim. So samach l'tzavaray besides the arba raglayim, Zok Rashi. That's what Rashi says. Rashi says the same lashon in the Mishnah. V'yesh loy kartulim, heim shtei raglayim aruchim, levad arba, v'heim samach l'tzavarim bimal raglov. That's what he, lenata b'hem. Okay. That's what Rashi's teaching, that mimal raglov means on top of it. You think over here Rashi's mashma on top of it.
The first part's actually like you.
Yeah.
What do you say? What's your name?
I hear. Okay.
What do you say?
We really should read the whole pasuk. Did the oifus atmeim? Then kol sheretz oif ha'ilach al arba sheketz v'lechem. Ach ezet oichlu mi kol sheretz oif ha'ilach al arba. Sheretz oif ha'ilach al arba. Right? Do asher loi kra'ayim mimal raglov. Something, right? That somebody that has kra'ayim mimal raglov. So Rashi, some mimal raglov, samach l'tzavora yesh le'kemin shtei raglayim levad arba raglov. And Rashi doesn't say anywhere the word mimal.
Anywhere the word mimal.
Right. Okay.
Now you're talking.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Gewaldig. Okay. Anyway, gewaldig. That's the shtickle.
It's much better. Yeah, the Rashi.
So we had the that's the tumul of the Chaim, and then there's the famous story Ki Yadua Sayyid Chazdi Davin, Sayyid Chaim Kanievsky had they were muchazach on the sugya of Karni Chagavim, and a Chagav came down and came and showed them, but to me it didn't happen. Baruch Hashem, there's pictures, so we don't. No Chagavim showed up last night, and I don't think any of them are going to show up today because we have pictures so clear. We don't need.
The guy that was here last
And we spoke about these the three shittas of if you need 3 simonim, 4, and if there's 4 simonim, or if there's 5, there's 2 types of 5. Okay, either you're going to need Rosh Aruch or you're going to need Shmoi Chagav. We're going to see that in the Gemara soon. So the Gemara vaytu b'Chagavim kol sheyesh lo. And the Mishnah said that the first one, the fourth one was that it's knaf of chayv v'rubai. My rubai, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, roiv orkai. It's the roiv in the length. For Amrila roiv hakefay. And here Rav Papa comes as he always does. Amar Rav Papa hilkach bin roiv orkai ubi in roiv hakefay. Vaita. Sakti Gemara turn Rabbanon. Ein lo achshav v'asol legad lachazman. This is really a big sugya. We're going to run through it real quickly. Ein lo achshav, if it doesn't have it now, v'asol legad lachazman, and it's going to come up eventually. Ki goin hazachal muter. So what is asol legad? What are we talking about? So Rashi's going to learn. We'll see. Rabbi Lezer, that it's talking about that the Krayim that it's not born with Krayim. The Krayim grow afterwards. Yeah. Yeah. Good. That's how Rashi learns. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yossi, Ashaloi Krayim, Ashaloi Krayim. It says loy with with aleph in the pasuk, and we read it loy mitavav. So is it loy kraim or loy kraim? No kraim or yes kraim? Right? So we darshan af b'she'en loy achshav v'osel legadol la'achar zman. So there's two massively important Rambams here. First of all, there's a Rambam that says, the Rambam learns that when it comes to Kra'ayim, there was no Havamina, that it's not going to be a kosher thing once it grows it. But Zok the Rambam, we had Havamina that it won't be kosher before it grows it. That means the same chagav will be kosher once it gets the Kra'ayim, but until it has the Kra'ayim, it's not kosher. Is a raya muchrachas that it's a seba. It's a raya muchrachas that it's a seba. Because if it's a simon, if it's a kosher man, what do you mean? Is it kosher or is it not kosher? How can it be kosher at one point and not kosher at a different point? Is a raya muchrachas that it's a seba, right? At least in the Havamina Gemara. But Akapanim in the Maskana, you could start being mafapel. It's not mistaba, but it's a mamash a raya muchrachas that it's a seba, not a simon. At least in the Havamina Gemara. That's what Rambam number one. Rambam number two is like this. The Rambam says that this din of ein le'achshav v'osel legadol is not only b'krayim, it's also by the knafayim, right? So Zoktech Sam Sefer, where's the Rambam coming from? The Rambam's coming from the Brisa. The Brisa starts with ein le'achshav v'osel legadol achazman. It doesn't say what. And then Rav Lezer Yossi, what? He's bringing a pasuk for the same thing. So some sefer that the Rambam learned that the Tanakhama is talking about the knafayim, and that you don't need a pasuk because that's darkei. That you don't need a pasuk for. Rav Lezer Yossi is coming to be mechadash even by the kra'ayim, which is not dafka darkei over there. That's where we're saying that the halacha that the osel gadol achazman is also true. That is how some sefer learns. So, but Rashi clearly learns not like that because Rashi says the zachal is something that the kra'ayim are osel gadol. So clearly Rashi holds that the Metzias is not like that, and I will mistaba that the Metzias is talking not like that. So what's the yishuv? So maybe we could go that there's no machlokes the Rambam and the Rav and Rashi, but we could say the same lumdis. The same lumdis, but slightly different. That the pshat is the Tanakhama is saying the halacha taka like the Rambam's like the Rambam paskins that it's on everything. Where do we get it all from? We get it from the Kra'ayim. The drasha is by the Kra'ayim. But once we have the drasha by the Kra'ayim, that ein lo yakshav asal legad lachazman, it works. So memela we learned it for everything. Yeah. So I had the Rambam say from the fact that the Tanakhama just said ein lo yakshav asal legad lachazman, it didn't talk about the Kra'ayim. So memela we learned about everything, and memela. Now, does Rabbi Yossi agree that it's on everything? Or does he agree with the Tanakhama or not? That already can be mefalpel, but that would be a yishuv that the Ram is not ding zechur Rashi and Taka and Avada also legad lachazman is going to work by everything. Zokt Gemara vayta. Let's move on. Okay. My zachalam abaya askirin. That's the name. That was the name that they were familiar with. Okay. Now comes the fun. Here's the drushes. The drushes. This is the first one. Is a Teres Kainim. We're going to see the Teres Kainim is referred to in the Al Gemara as the Tana de Beirav. Tana Rabbanan es ela mehem toichlu es arba. So the pasuk says four things, right? And what's going to be important is es arba. Arba is the one that's ein loy gabeshes, right? We said before we're just going to call it a gabachas. We're just going to call it a gabachas. But we said before that gabachas means either it means a bald spot or it means it doesn't have a hump. Okay, we're just gonna call it ein loy gabachas. The arba is ein loy gabachas. Yeah, the salam, the psukim says arba. The pasuk says like this. The pasuk says, "Es ela mehem toichlu, es arba leminoi, es arba leminoi, ves salam lemineu, ves chargo lemineu, ves chogov lemineu." Now, the Metzias is like this. The arba does not have a gabachas, whatever it means. The salam and the Torah says was marba sai arba and sai leminoi, and then there's a salam which is two, and then salam is yesh like gabachas, and the Torah was marba lemineu. Then there's V'esa Chargol. Chargol, not only that, it also has Yesh Zonov. Okay? The Torah was Marba Chargol and a Limineu. And then the Torah was Marba V'esa Chogov Limineu. Zakti Gemara. So Tana de Rav is not going to learn any klal or prat klal. The Gemara is going to say why. Because the reason why there's no klal or prat klal is because it says The klal is kol sheyesh lekrayim. That's a major klal. That's very, very vast. And then leminoi is only similar to arba. So you can't say klal kol sheyesh lekrayim, and then arba is the prat, and then the klal is leminoi, because leminoi is not doing the klal basra. But so the Tana the Rav holds it we can't darshan, so we do not darshan any klal uprat. The klal is just a klal uprat. Ein b'chlal mashu b'prat, only the arba, and then leminei, meaning similar to the arba. Yeah, the solam and similar leminei, cargo and similar. Right? That's how the Tana B'Rei Rav is. The Tana B'Rei Shmuel is going to hold the famous. The Gemara says this is the place. This is the source of the famous Tana B'Rei Shmuel that holds that Ashin Kai Gavna, that you do have a klal prat to klal, and the male it's going to be a whole new sugya. But that's what the Gemara is going to say. So tomorrow, this is the Tana B'Rei Rav. Tana B'Rei Rav, I say l'meim teichum. As arba is a guvoi. They were familiar with it. That's the name that they called it. That's the arba. Solam is a Russian. Okay, so the arba, the guvoi is the one that's ein legabachas. The solam is the Russian that's yesh legabachas, but otherwise very similar. Chargos and nipol again. Chargos and nipol is the one with the zonov. Chagav is a Gideon. Yeah. Now that's the three. That's the four. Now and matam aloymar lemineu the four times. Dalit pamim lahavi. What is it lahavi? Each one is to be daima. It's one lahavi tziporis kramim. Tziporis kramim famously. Here's the Gemara before that tziporis kramim is a grasshopper, not like the Rav says in Rashi. The Rav says in the Mishnah in Shabbos. Tziporis kramim is a grasshopper. The yochna Yishalmis. So Tziparis Kam is similar to an arba that it's ein legabachas. Yochni Yishalmis is similar to a solam that it's yesh legabachas. The Artsovia is similar to a chargol that it's yesh loy zonov. And Harzovnis is something Rashi says that it's not similar to any of them. I don't know. It's not. It's just not similar to them in its look, and therefore it gets a new it needs an extra riboy. What is it not doima to? Rashi doesn't tell us. Okay, that's the Gemara. Okay, so that's how the Tana B'Rei Shmuel holds. So now, like the Tana B'Rei Shmuel, is a Rosh Aruch good? Avada not, because how will we marry anything with a Rosh Aruch? Do we need Shmoi Chagov? Why should we need Shmoi Chagov, right? So the Tana B'Rei Shmuel is clearly going to hold that what you need the fourth one of our Mishnah plus Rosh Aruch is not going to be good because we had no way to be married by any Rosh Aruch, right? But the Tanai of Yeshlei of Shmoi Chagov we don't need. Tana B'Rei Shmuel holds not like that. B'Rei Shmuel Tana Elu Klale Ve'elu Prate. And the Gemara is going to be married to explain it, and we're going to work it out. But the bottom line is that we're going to have klalu pratu klaus on top of klalu pratu klaus to the point that we don't need. The Gemara is going to say that solam and chagav are extra because we already marba everything with a klalu pratu klaus, and because we already learned everything with klalu pratu klaus, solam and chagav are extra. So we're going to learn al tameina inyan. We're going to learn out Rosh Aruch and that it has to be shmoi chagav. That's what the Gemara is going to say. So the Gemara right. Arba is a guvoi. Leminoi lahavi tziparis kramim. So far exactly the same. Arba is a guvoi, and leminoi is coming to be marba tziparis kramim. That what? There's ein loy gabachas. So far it's very similar to the Tana B'Rei Rav. Ein li alaba haba ve'ein loy gabachas. Haba ve'yesh loy gabachas minayin. What's going to be with something is yesh loy gabachas. Tamaloi masalam. Salam has yesh loy gabachas. Now. The over here it says Solam Zenipo, right? Now if you halti cheshbon in the Tana B'Rei Rav, we said Solam is called the is Russian, and over here it's Nipo. So the Gemara is going to say later on that somehow it's very, very interesting that the two communities, one called a Solomon Nipol and the other one called it a Russian, and then the other community flipped it around. But they're talking about the same thing. We're talking about something is in like Gabachas and with Yesh Gabachas, and the thing with the Yesh Zonov, it's the same thing. For some reason, the names are interchanged, are changed in different places. So it's B'chal. Okay, right. So to my right, now, why do we talk about the Ushchef? Why were we not marbe the Yochni Yishalmis, which was what the other Tanadri Rav. So Krashi who did. It's the same thing. So Bekitza, so far we are at the same place. So far the first two steps were the same one. The first one was Ein Legabachas, and we were Marba Tziparis Kromim. Now we did Solom, which is Yesh Legabachas, and we were Marba the Yuchni Yishalmis and the Ushchef. It's all the same. These are things that have Yesh Legabachas. Vein Liela Above Ein Legabachas, Above Yesh Legabachas, Above Ein Lezonov. So far we were Marba everything that's with a Gabachas, without a Gabachas, but Akopan and Ein Lezonov. Habavi yesh leizanav minayin. What's going to be with ones yesh leizanav? So far we don't have anything. Side arba and side solam don't have a zanav. Via habavi yesh leizanav minayin. So now again, and now I didn't show the picture of a zanav. A zanav means that you really have the whole big piece, right? They have the whole big piece, which we would call a zanav, but that's not the zanav. The zanav is when it comes very, very thin. We don't have time to show a picture. Let's go weiter. Minayin tamulei mechagol. Chagol's are Russian. Again. Yeah, whatever it is. This is the Yesh Leizanav. Lemineu lahavias karsapas v'sashachalanis. Now, again, over here also the karsapas and the shachalanis. There's not a machloikas over here. It's a Yesh Leizanav. Even though over there we called it the Artzuvia, but there's no machloikas in this concept that everyone's masking that it's a Yesh Leizanav. This is a Yesh Leizanav. The question is a name or if we're calling it something else. Oh, okay. So far, good. Yeah. Mainly. So far we were married everything. Say with gabachas without a gabachas, with a zanav without a zanav. Habav ein roishay aruch, habav roishay aruch minayin. How do I know to be married something with a long hand? Now this is new. This is already telling me well. Armit hariyatadon binyanav mishloshta. Loy roy arbe kiroi chargol, v'loy roy chargol kiroi arbe, v'loy roy shneim kiroi solom. ולא יראי סולם כראי שניהם הצד השורש שלהם שיש לו the four simonim שיש לו ד' רגליים וארבע כנפיים וקרצון וכנף וחוף וסרובוי אף כל שיש לו ארבע רגליים וארבע כנפיים וקרצון וכנף וחוף וסרובוי. Frekti Gemara, right? So far. Now we're going to ask a kasha that you can't do it at Tzara because there's a Gavaldiga Pircha. All of them they don't have a Roshei Aruch, which is obviously Pircha. And the Gemara is going to say it's really a main Indian. We're going to get to it. Yeah? But one more thing. Which is the cricket. It's called the cricket today in Hebrew, and the Rishonim say that it's the one that makes noise at night. And Reb Chaim said he spoke to the scientists. They said that the tzirtzur, that the cricket has all the four simonim of arba raglayim, arba knafayim, and kraim and knaf koyves. It is the tzirtzur. It's good. Ben Yehuda got it right. It's the cricket. Yep. V'aloya tzirtzur azeh yesh le'arba raglayim v'arba knafayim v'kartzalayim knaf koyves rubai. Yachol yehei moter. Tamolei mechagav sheshmei chagav. It has to be Shmei Chagav. Yeah? Ish Shmei Chagav, Yochol, Ein Boy, Kol HaSimonim Halolu. This is going to be, the Gemara is going to have to explain this step of this brisa. If it's right, what happened to all the other drushes? Ish Shmei Chagav, Yochol, Ein Boy, Kol HaSimonim Halolu. Maybe as long as it has the name Chagav, it should be good without everything else. So Chagav Limineu tells you Chagav, it has to be Shmei Chagav, and Limineu tells you that it has to still add Shehei Boy, Kol HaSimonim Halolu. Okay, now the Gemara is going to say Parak Rabachai, which is really just dissecting the brisa before, which we discussed on, as we were saying the brisa. Parak Rabachai, Malahanach Shekain Ein Rosh Aruch. How are you going to have a Tzara Shavah Shabem and learn out Ein Rosh that Yeshlei Rosh Aruch? We have a Pashta Pircha to the Tzara Shavah. Malahanach Shekain Ein Rosh Aruch. If you say it's good, it doesn't have to be exact as long as it's Shavu B'Dalet. In fact, the Gemara, Ma'asina v'lei Perchim, we can learn that, and we don't ask a Pircha. Ihachi Chargol Nami, the Shavelu Lei Lichtev. Why did it have to mention the Chargol also? What's the Chargol? The Chargol is the one that has that's Yesh Leizanav. Why do we have to be Ma'aber in the first place? We have already two. Arba and Solom have the four simonim and finished. They have the four, so let's learn out the four without the chagol. Why do you have the teretzis? Because the ma'isa, those are ein leizanav, and chagol's yesh leizanav. So we thought to not to be Arba, right? So ela ikil mifrach ma'alahanach shkein ein lahem zanav. Hachanami ikil mifrach ma'alahim shkein ein roshan aruch. So what's the so how do we how's Tanvei Shmuel including something as yesh roshan aruch? Elam Ravachoy. Salam Yisera, and this is what we were talking about all along, that Salam is extra, and this is what the Tanna Rebbe Shmuel said is klale klalis, that since we're going to have a klal pratu klal, so Mamela, we didn't need Salam in the first place. Salam was the second. We had Arba, then we said Salam, then we said Chagol. Salam is the middle one, is extra. And since Salam is extra, so we're going to do Imena Inyan. Salam Yiseiru, Loilich the Rachmana Salam, and we'll see Chagol is also extra. Salam Yiseiru, Loilich the Rachmana Salam, V'teisimi Arba v'Chagol. Why? The my parachta. What you pick? Mala Arba, the ain't like Abachas. You can ask a kasha. You're going to be Mamayit Salam from Arba because it's Ein Like Abachas and Solomon we know is Yesh Like Abachas. Hare Chagol the Yesh Like Abachas. Chagol has Say Gabachas and Say Zonov. So it has a Gabachas. So the Hare Chagol the Yesh Like Gabachas will be the Pircha. Mal Chagol the Yesh Like Zonov. Hare Arba the Ein Like Zonov. So Mamela Solom the Kasar Rachman Elam Ali. So Mamela Solom's extra, right? Because once you take 1 and 3, 1 is Ein Like Gabachas Ein Like Zonov. 3 has Yesh Like Gabachas Yesh Like Zonov. And once the Torah said both of them, so now I know I can be marba everything that's Sai if it has a Gabachas and no Gabachas or Zonov and no Zonov because I have 1 and 3. Why did the Torah say Salam? Salam the Kasar Rachman Elam Ali Imenin Legufay Tanayin LeRoshei Aruch Imenin. Right? That's it. So here Rashi says, why is it called Tanah D'Bei Rav? Until now it was called the Teres Kayanim, right? Why is it called the Tanah D'Bei Rav? Zokt Rashi is very, very famous. Rashi says that they called the Tanah D'Bei Rav is called all over the Teres Kayanim because it was matzah in all Bei Ravs, in all shul, in all Bate Midrashim. So it was called Tanah D'Bei Rav. But Mashenkin, the time of the Rabbi Shmuel was only in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel. Azoi zokt Rashi, but there is another sheet in Rishonim that say that Rav was the one that compiled the Teres Kayanim. Right, it's like more weiter. That what Machlokes is about Roshei Aruch. Now, interessant, because the Machlokes is also about the Shmei Chagov, we'll see. But Roshei Aruch Kamiflagi, Tanah D'Bei Rav Sova Asher Lo Yikra'im Klal, Arba, Solam, Chagol, Chagov, Lemineu, Prat, Klalu Prat, Ein B'Chal Mashav Prat. Finished. That's it. It's a Klalu Prat, Ein B'Chal Mashav Prat. Right? Demine in the lav demine loy, and we can't umarbi the dummy loy. Mishnei tzvadim, it has to be dummy in ganzen. Tanah D'Bei Shmuel savash loy krayim klal arba solam chagol chagov prat lemineu chazav ekila klal prat klal. You have to do elkein by prat. Umarbi kol the dummy lebechatzad. Right? Fact the Gemara kasha holy dummy kol kamel kol basra has. Kol the kamash loy krayim amrachmona this lay chol the lesle loy techel kol the basra the shavu barba minim, right? The kol the basra is mineu, it has to be similar to those things. So the Gemara Tanah D'Bei Bishmol the kol you proti kai gavna doyin uda mina nami ba'alma the doyin Tanah D'Bei Bishmol the kol you proti kai gavna mehacha. This is that source. This is that place. Yeah, that's the Gemara. So the Gemara, right? Let's finish up the Gemara. Mar ishmei chagav yachol ein boy kol seman malolu. Now we're just cleaning up the end of the Gemara, and then and then we're going to start the next gewaldige sugya of kaskasim and what's called it, the fins and scales. Oh, before that, there's another important sugi that we have to read. Rashi. Okay, about shchita of a chagav. So we had a havamina that somehow from that once it has its name chagav, it should be enough. It's just shmei chagav, even if it doesn't have all the simanim. Anybody, in fact, Gemara. Anybody kol hasimanim alolu mehecha teisa. How could we learn it out that it should be good? I arba v'chagol. Because if it says in the pasuk that you need an arba v'chagol, it has to be done to arba v'chagol. So the Gemara like siv solam kidikam. It had it not said solam. You're right. Hashta diksiv solam l'rebuye roshei aruch. The solam we know is a main Indian. It's coming to be marba. So the Bryce. I would think that maybe it's coming to be marba. Everything shmei chagav. L'rebuye roshei aruch. Eimel l'rebuye nami kol du. Kamash Malon, that it says Limineu, that no, you have to still stay within the lines. Okay, so to my right, now the Gemara reads us the problem, the shini of the names. Ma'ishna hosam the Amrit Solom Zeroshin Chagol Zanipol. Ma'ishna hocha the Amrit Solom Zanipol Chagol Zeroshin. Marki Asrei. Yeah. Marki Asrei, it's just a matter of what they called it, but it's not a machlokes in Metzias, and it's not a machlokes everybody has the same thing. That one was the one that's yesh legabachas ve'en lo yizonav, the other one's yesh lezonav v'yesh legabachas. That is the end of the sugya of the heilige sugya of Arba. Now, but Rashi fears us the sugya with a more important thing. He brings down a bahag, and there's no machlokes here. But however, the makor is there's 4 shittas. We're just going to discuss 2 shittas. The shaila is, why do we need? Does Arba need shchita? Zok Rashi, the Bahag says of Joshua that it's a bird to get Joshua. Why? Because we had a Gemara in Daf Chov Zayin on the base that the Gemara said that how do we know that oif is kosher b'simen echad? Because the Torah stuck the oif between a chayis and a dogim. Dogim don't need anything, and a chayis need 2 simanim, and the oif is smack in the middle. So why is a raya that a oif is half and half? It's like only 1 siman and not 2 simanim. The Zok the Bahag that and in that same pasuk after oifus comes Chagavim. So it's a raya that Chagavim don't need any shchita. That is the Bahag. Yeah, that's the Bahag. Rashi says Chagavim oh into shchita. Got to Rashi over here. Yeah, because the end of the part of Chol Nefesh Chayari messes b'mayim elu dogim ul Chol Nefesh Asher Retz Al Oretz elu Chagavim. Very gishmak. That's the halachas good. Zok Toisus. The fact that the halacha is true that Rashi didn't need the Bahag, there's Gemaras all over the place. But what's the Makar? The Makar is from this Bahag, and Tosis isn't masking to the shtickle. But L'maisa, Zokter Rashba, that I'm not masking to this whole shtickle Torah. Why? Because it's presupposing that the pshat is that there will be a tzad that it will be Elam and Achai without shchita. Me'echet any shchita. Fakert. The Rashba holds that there will be a tzad that there's no havamina that you should need shchita. But I don't want to discuss the Bahag, and the Rambam has his own makar that it doesn't need shchita. I want to discuss the Meiri, and the Reb Chaim Kanievsky says a more digavart. The Meiri says that the teretz is because it doesn't have simanim. Doesn't have simanim, so obviously it can't need shchita. Zok Reb Chaim, what's going on over here? What are all the Rishonim? The Rishonim are muching yes shchita, no shchita, makar is there, and the Meiri says that there's no simanim. What do you want? Does it have simanim? Does it not have simanim? Zok Reb Chaim givaldig pshat. He says, I spoke to the scientists, and they told him that it has the veshet. Avad it eats, so it has a veshet, but it doesn't have a kana. Zok Reb Chaim gives shmak. The Meiri is tiny. It doesn't have both simanim, so it's not b'tayris regular shchita like every other living being. And memela it's ein loy simanim, and memela it's not mishtayich to shchita, and that's how we know that it doesn't need shchita. The other Rishonim say, okay, it doesn't have both simanim. Okay, so you don't have to cut both. But a kaponim it has a veshet. If it has a veshet, I should have to shecht it. It's a gewaldig pshat in this machlokes gewaldig. If in misvara, if the fact that it only has one sim, it doesn't have the other one, is a raya that it doesn't need shchita b'chlal, or the pshat is no. If it has one, you should need one, not the other. I think mamish emsam mitshal Torah. Weiter gegangen. No, it's a gorgeous pshat. I think it's. Yeah. Or maybe you could say it a little different. You could say that the pshat is that it's soif shchita shteit by chayis, and the question is if it's included in what it says by chayis or not. Yeah, you could say it however you'll say it, but it's a gewaldige pshat. Okay, so I just want to point out one thing which is akdama to this Gemara, and I think this is a very important zach. Why are Dagim put in last in our Mishnah? Why are Dagim put in last in the Mishnah? And this is the big part in the sugya over here. Why are Dagim put in last in the Mishnah? So it's very important to know what the signal of our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says, Simone behema nemru, Simone behema nemru natayra. Simone oifes lo nemru, aval amru chachamim. Right. So the signal of our Mishnah is that we're not saying things that are mafurish. We're not saying things that are mafurish. What are we saying? We're only saying things that are unknown. The things that are not known. So the Mishnah is teaching you. So the first one is Simone Eifis. Simone Eifis, Chalal not in the Torah, right? And that they're all from the Chazal. Simone Arbe, that comes next. Because the yesh like layim the arba raglayim state mefurish in the pasuk, but the arba gonna find chayfim. It doesn't say in the pasuk, so we have to so it belongs in our Mishnah, but it's step 2. Why are we saying b'chalal the why are we dogging kosh yesh snap of v'kaskesses? How does it fit in our Mishnah b'chalal? It's mefurish, and if you're gonna say snap of v'kaskesses, it's the same alligator and mafres parsa also. What's it doing in our Mishnah? The teretz is, it's mefurish in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is klar. Mishnah says, Koshi yesh lo snapir v'kaskesses. Snapir is a pareach b'hem. And kaskesses is a kavun by. What are you saying? The teretz is that it's very, very clear from the Mishnah, from the pshatav of our Mishnah, that the problem that every one of us have to figure out which one's fins and which one's scales is not a new problem. It's a problem that was always clear. That the taich of snapping v'kaskesses is a known problem. It's a problem in the taich of the words of which one is which is a problem that everybody has. And the Mishnah acknowledges it by the Mishnah having to give the taich, and that's why it says in our Mishnah. It says in our Mishnah because it's not so mefurish, because that's so clear. So the Mishnah has to say, Snapir means hapareach behem, and kaskesses is akvuim boy, and we said that it's a mnemonic because this is a pay and a pay, and this is a kuf and a kuf. Yeah, very, very important nekuda for the Gemara Vaita. So the Gemara to turn up on only achshav also legav lachazman kigoin hasultonis ve'afion harei ze mutter. So these things that don't have it right away, but they'll grow it later on, it's mutter. Now, what's the makar for this? Our Gemara does not bring. Some Rishonim have a pasuk for it. Our Gemara doesn't bring. Maybe you can learn it out from the Qur'an. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, our Gemara doesn't bring. Some Rishonim have a makar for it. Certainly, Marvaita Yeshlei Achshav v'Osid lahashiron b'Sha she'oila min ha'mayim. If it doesn't have it now, v'Osid lahashiron b'Sha she'oila min ha'mayim. When it comes out, it sheds it when it's oila min ha'mayim. That's the lashon of our Gemara, and this is very important because there is a fish that there are fish. I'm not sure which ones, but there are fish that Shevet Levi talks about that we eat that it's meisherit not b'shas sha'olam and amayim. It's meisherit later, earlier on, at some point in its mature at some it swims around without its fins and scales at some point. And the Lamaisa the Shevet Levi is materit. The lashon Gemara is b'shas sha'olam and amayim. It seems like maybe could be it's a target. You understand? I'm not sure exactly. No, I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember exactly. There's a shmooze about that. Okay, good. Kigoin. Now, what are we talking about? Kigoin. So Rashi says sultanis was the sultan fish. Min dogim kitanim. It's a very small, like herrings. Yeah. But then Rashi says belaz tunina. And the Metargim and a lot of people change the gear so that the Belaz Tunina is not going on the Sultanis. The Tunina is going on Kigoin Akunis, either on Akunis or Apunis, Kaspisias Va'achspisias Ve'atunis. So some say it's going on Akunis, some say it's going on Atunis, it would make sense, which is the tuna fish. And the tuna fish, Kiyadua, Taka does shed its what's called, it sheds its scales. So taka, that's mamish negeh for our Mishnah, this halacha. Okay, good. Harei zeh mutter. So we're not going to be ma'arich about the fish that doesn't have that if it sheds it earlier or sheds it before. There is a tesefta, which is a big problem. There's a big shmooze in the Rishonim, and because the Tosefta, the Mishnah brought down how many scales you have to have. Machlokes if you have to have one or two. The Tosefta seems to say you have to have it in 3 different places. The question is, well, how does the Tosefta stem with our Mishnah? Maybe it doesn't stem with our Mishnah. Maybe the pshat is that our Mishnah was only saying 1 or 2 in all those 3 places. Or there's some Rishonim want to say a different mahalach, but that's not beyond the scope of our Gemara. So I want to write to Tanan Hasam, our Mishnah Nida Tanan Hasam Kol sheyesh le kaskeses yesh le snape. Anything that's yesh le kaskeses, if it has if it has fins, if it has scales, yesh le'snapir, it definitely has fins. V'yesh sheyesh le'snapir ve'en le'kaskeses. And there are those that have a snapir, meaning it has fins, ve'en le'kaskeses, and it doesn't have scales, and therefore So yesh le'kaskeses yesh le'snapir dag toru, yesh le'snapir ve'en le'kaskeses dag tameu. Yeah, that's the famous brisa. The siman that I use for myself is very simple, because the halacha is that if you want to drink dam dag is mutter to eat, but you have to put in scales that it shouldn't be marasai. No one should eat. You should remember that you're eating what's called dam of a oif or a behemachaya. So you put in scales. Why do you put in scales and not fins? The halach is because scales is enough is the only thing that's going to be right, because there could be fins and you can have a tray for an animal. But the ma'isa, for as a simon to remember, no one thinks about putting in a big scale or a big fin. You're not going to put in a big fin. You're only going to put in a little scales. It's easy to remember. So that's the way to remember that scales is what we have and not fins. Now there is a very, very interesting big fight. There was a big fight in the times of the Achronim, the Chasam Sofer, and before that, about the Stinkis Marinus. A big stink about the Stinkis Marinus, which is this thing. I forgot what it's called. I have a picture of it. It's called the sandfish skink. The sandfish skink, it has scales and it does not have fins. This was a kasha that a lot of people had a problem. That Yitachin, the Gemara says, "Kol sheyesh le'snapir ein le'kaskeses." What? So what? So what? Oh, so the Maisa, after all the Torah, Zaktik Sam Sofer, that the Maisa Shuv Nisbar, that it's B'chal, not a fish. It happens to be something that goes into the water. It doesn't grow. It's not born in the water. It goes into the water. Also, it swims in the water, but it's not. It's born on the side. It looks like a salamander kind of a family. Yeah, that's what it looks like to us. Anyway, and the Maisa, its fins of it helps it swim a lot. And not that's how the scales work. But it has scales, it does not have fins, but it's not a fish. So Melinshki Kasha. Okay, good. Let's see the next shtickle Gemara, because the next shtickle Gemara is Mamash Yisoidis. 1 second. Frekti Gemara Kasha, and we discussed this Gemara before. We discussed it. Frekti Gemara Kasha, Michti, Kaskeses Kosam Chinon. We always have, if you want to eat a fish, the only thing you could check, you have to check the scales, right? Kaskeses Kosam Chinon. Why? Why does the Torah bother by saying the snapper Bechlal? Who cares? Why is it negayim? Sakti Gemara, first the Gemara tries this teretz. Ikas Rachmana Kaskeses Lekos Snapir, Hava Amino, my Kaskeses Snapir. I would have thought the Kaskeses is Snapir. Again, over here already you see from the Gemara, Klor Zachan, that the Gemara, just like we had the Gemara notice from the Mishnah, that it's that this problem of not knowing what the taich of Kaskeses is and what the taich of Snapir is a universal problem. We weren't mechadish it. This is a problem that everybody has, that the taich of Kaskeses and Snapir is not Klor, and people interchange it to the point that the Gemara says that the Torah said Snapir to say, Snapper, that you should know what kaskeses is. My kaskeses snapper. Vafilu dag tome. Rachmana snapper v'kaskeses. Frek the Gemara. V'hashtu the kos rachmana snapper v'kaskeses. Mimai the kaskeses levushu. Okay, so l'maisa. How do you know what it is? How do we know soif kosoif which one's which? How do I know that kaskeses is the Mishnah says l'maisa kaskeses is akavum? But how do we know? The chsiv. The opposite, the chsiv is Syrian kaskasim who lovish. V'lichter rachmana kaskeses v'lichter snapper. So soif kosoif just say kaskeses, and we'll anyways gonna have to be saying this pasuk. Amar Abavo v'chein tana de Rabbi Shmuel. Yagdel, Torah, v'yadir. No, what does it mean, Yagdel, Torah, v'yadir? Everybody muches it. What do you mean, Yagdel, Torah, v'yadir? What's the Yagdel, Torah, v'yadir? What is nisbar more from this thing? Yeah, that's the kasha. Zokter Ritva, a very, very famous Ritva in Nida, Zokter Ritva, that the pshat is that Simonim is a Siba, Nishkein Simen. As Simonim is a Siba, Nishkein Simen. That the pshat is that the reason why a fish is tar is Zaktir Itzvah, that the pshat is that the kaskeses, the fins and scales, are not just a sim in ledavar, not just to know how it's kosher. Because if it's just to know how it's kosher, what do I need it for? Because the Maisa, if it has scales, it's kosher. If it doesn't have scales, it's not kosher, right? So Memela, it's that definitely, and that was the Gemara's kasha. And for the Gemara Yagdol Torah V'Yadi, that we're telling you what the truth is. The reason why it's kosher is because it has both. What do you mean the reason? Because Simanim are a siba, not a siman. This is a very, very big makar, this ritva to the sugya. But Rashi does not say that. So like Rashi, what is the pshat in the Gemara? What's the Yagdol Torah V'Yadi? So I want to say the shmuz that we were talking about all along, that it's mefurish from our Mishnah and it's mefurish from the Gemara that kaskeses and snapir are the taich of the two words are people didn't know. It's very, very hard to know. It's very, very clear. It's not nisbar. It's very, very unclear which one's which. And Memela Zoktoises Yagdol Torah V'Yadir Harbe Oimer Lonu Taimim Leida Mahu Kaskeses. Here Belonu Orma Lonu Taimim Leida Mahu Kaskeses. The Taka the Torah was moisif more to teach you what the taich is. And Echanami, even though you're not going to get you all the way, but it's trying to get us to the taich to help us know what kaskas is and what's not is, because it's talking about mefurish b'kra. Now, and Memela, I want to fan for a murdig kasha, the Velt's kasha, and with this we're going to stop. Velt's kasha. The Gemara asked the Gemara said earlier. The Gemara said earlier that Mishnah Torah Lesufi Yudiyasa, that what's Mishnah Torah Lesufi Yudiyasa, that the pshat is that the reason why it repeated all the kosher animals in Mishnah Torah, Sagt the Gemara, because to add the shasua. And why did it come to add the why did it come to add the oifos? The reason why is to teach you that the ayah and the daya they shouldn't mix up the names, and that's the lasufe. Over here, it could be that the lasufe is, so the shaila is, what's the dogim? Why did the Torah add the dogim? That's the Velt's kasha. Why did the Torah add the dogim? That l'chura by the dogim there is no extra. Maybe the daskenim has the kasha, but it could be that the pshat is that since the whole reason why the Torah is saying it is the second time to tell you what the taich is, just like there was a question of ayah and daya, what the taich is of the second one, to tell you that you shouldn't mix up the names. Over here, it's also that you shouldn't mix up the names. What's not b'kaskeses, even though over here it's a little bit less, because by the ayah and the daya it's a different name. Over here it's the same name, but it's Yagdol Torah V'Yadi to know that you need sai snapir and kaskeses to know what snapir is and what kaskeses is. Okay.